All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. It is Monday, November 18th, 3:45 p.m. And we've got a lot that is happening currently in the market. Since I left on the market open, a variety of things have happened. We've got a bunch of new news headlines that came out in the past hour that are actually having an implication on a lot of different names that we talked about this morning. And those headlines are driving some of these names to go higher and lower. The first headline that we've got, and this broke literally 4 minutes before I went live. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We're going to get started with the show today. Is this right here from the Wall Street Journal? Trump's meeting with Brian Armstrong. If the Wall Street Journal is correct on this reporting, that's happening today. It could be happening literally right now. So Donald Trump will be meeting privately with Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong to discuss cabinet appointments. To me, the obvious take here is bullish. The president of the United States of America is speaking to the CEO of a major cryptocurrency exchange to figure out who are the best people to put in a position of power that can make decisions around crypto. I think that is incredibly important for the next 4 years of innovation when it comes to crypto. We also have some other Trump updates in a second when it comes to crypto, but that has Coinbase stock up currently right now. On this news, as you can see right here, we'll look at Robinhood in a second, but Coinbase right here, I didn't even see it was at 35.40. I thought it was at 35.20, but Robinhood's up as well. Coinbase up 6.45%, 325, breaking out just when that news came out on the idea that Brian Armstrong is meeting with Trump, but also that is helping Robinhood, which is hitting a 52-week high. We have not seen these levels from 2021. $35. We hit it right before I left on the market open, kind of came down back to that 34.15, 34.20 range, came right back up. I had a feeling we were going to come back up to 35. Why? Because we broke down a major wall at 35 of 170,000 shares. And when you break those types of walls, stocks tend to go higher simply because the buying pressure and the momentum is there at those levels, and you get buyers coming in. Up 9.65% on the day. The Trump appointment with Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, super bullish for Hood. Why? Because Hood is also a crypto exchange, even if they're not as big of a crypto exchange as Coinbase. And any benefits from a deregulatory perspective that are going to be good for Coinbase and good for the broader crypto ecosystem is going to be good for Robinhood as well. Now, the other reason why Robinhood's up 10% is they got an upgrade from Needham and Piper Sandler to $40.36. So that is also kind of what started their run today. And then the momentum in Bitcoin and this Brian Armstrong news only continuing that momentum currently right now. Bitcoin, 91,555. We were at 92, kind of chilling right there at 91.55, but Coinbase and Robinhood being some pretty big beneficiaries today in regards to what we're seeing for crypto momentum. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We're getting started with the day. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's get into Palantir. We'll talk more about Palantir later, but quick update on Palantir. So we had a nice 10% decline on Palantir. I asked a lot of you guys in the chat, hey, are you relieved or excited or upset about this? And the far majority of you said you were actually relieved versus upset, which is fair because I think a lot of people are realizing the valuation is getting up there. But the dip buyers weren't having that. We dipped to 58.85. A lot of people thought their covered calls would be saved. I'm talking to you, Davis and Bay Ray in the chat. And then look at this, 6.33%. We were down 10%. Now we're down 6.3%. It doesn't look like the covered calls get to live today. And it looks like the dip buyers are back. Now, the funny thing about this is who the hell's buying on a dip to 58, right? Like who's actually going out there and be like, oh, this is the dip, I got to buy. I don't know. I don't know if institutions, I don't know if it's retail. I really have no idea, but someone's doing it. And because someone's doing it, Palantir is really not having a negative red day. I mean, down 7% is still bad, but it was down much worse and it could have been down much worse. But currently it is not getting hit as badly right now. SMCI looks like someone knows the news, playing it both ways. Real quick, you guys have been mentioning SMCI in the chat. I haven't looked at it all day. It's up 13%. Was it up more? Oh, yeah, it was. It was at 23.88. Now it's down to 21.15. Yeah, I agree with you, Jed. Someone's definitely playing this both ways. You either trust management's going to execute on that 10K, execute on filing a form, or you believe that's not going to happen. And you probably have both sides kind of toying with the stock right here, trying to figure out what could happen with it. So anyway, in the context of Palantir, look, it's pretty damn exciting. 61.64. What's exciting to me is that a dip of 10% after the amount of just like negative press, I would argue, over the weekend. If you were on Twitter, a lot of people going viral for saying Palantir's a bubble, blah, 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 blah. I mean, they were probably really happy at 9:30 seeing a 10% drawdown, and now they're probably really annoyed that it's only down 6.3%. So look, I don't know if the stock will fall even further. I don't know if we're going back up to 65. What I do know is that there are buyers ready to buy, and they don't really care about anything else other than getting more shares of Palantir, and any dip, at least today, is proved will be an opportunity for them. And if that's the case, maybe the 50s and 60s can be normalized, but it'll take a couple months to kind of see how that plays out. The Qs are slightly up today. Got a little bit of a red candle right there. They're up 0.5%. S&P was up about 1/3%. Again, Coinbase 324. Look at Robinhood, 35.59, now 35.54. A close above 35.50 would be so damn bullish. That would be incredible for Robinhood. Some other crypto news we have also with Trump. So Trump's Truth Social just bought a crypto exchange. I know. I don't understand it either, but they did. Also, that comment by Matthias in the chat, IBIT options launch tomorrow. That is correct. We are going to be getting Bitcoin options very soon, which means you can sell covered calls and cash cleared puts on the Bitcoin ETFs, which is huge. I mean, that's just going to bring even more money to the crypto ecosystem, which is obviously very bullish for the overall price of Bitcoin. So Donald Trump's social media companies reportedly in advanced talks to buy BAKKT. Some of you guys know this. I don't know this. There's a currency called BAKKT. It's a cryptocurrency around the cryptocurrency trading firm, and it's owned by Intercontinental Exchange, ticker symbol ICE. I've never heard of BAKKT. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of BAKKT. I don't know what the hell BAKKT is, but very interesting that Truth Social, by the way, they have the money for it, right? The company's worth, DJT's up, what, 17% today? DJT is up 15%. They're worth $7 billion, so theoretically, they have the cash to be able to do this. I think they diluted shareholders back in June, so they definitely have the cash. And also, let us not forget, it's pronounced BAKKT. Okay, it's pronounced BAKKT. Of course, I said BAKKT. Let's not forget, Trump has his own altcoin. And one could argue that that altcoin is going to be one of the main listings of the BAKKT exchange that is now owned by Truth Social. And what do you have on Truth Social? I mean, I don't know how many users, but let's say you have 5 million users. Now all 5 million users have access to this crypto exchange that can be cross-advertised to them immediately on the platform. So, I mean, there is an argument that this stuff can work out together. I don't know the economics behind buying that crypto exchange. I don't really know much about BAKKT, but the fact that they're backing back means that they probably think there is some argument to upsell and get more people integrated into that ecosystem. So you got a Trump White House literally buying a crypto exchange. He's meeting with Brian Armstrong. Coinbase and Robinhood are at the top of the App Store in finance. You got Gary Gensler leaving, Robinhood relisting Solana and XRP. I mean, it's bullish. Like, it is bullish. If we get another rate cut, it's going to be even better. And then you got MicroStrategy. For those that missed the news today, MicroStrategy at one point was at, wow, it's at 383. Yeah, the high was 388. And MicroStrategy bought another 51,000 Bitcoin over the past week at 88,000 a coin. So, as Jeff says, conflicts of interest all over. Yeah, there's definitely probably some conflicts of interest. But when you put all of those catalysts together, you've got a pretty exciting string of catalysts in the context of what we're seeing for Bitcoin. So exciting stuff for Bitcoin. Tesla's up 5.5%. Why is Tesla up? Because Trump is promising to give Tesla some more EV regulations or self-driving regulations in the context of autonomous vehicles. However, there are some reports that are coming out right now that some of Trump's senior advisors are pretty pissed off at Elon. And the reason they're pissed off at Elon is because Elon is making suggestions for certain cabinet positions that his advisors aren't really a fan of. Now, how do we know this? Well, Elon did tweet something today, and this is consistent with the reports right now in terms of the shakeup between Elon and the advisors. Dude, Elon tweets so much I can't even find this tweet. Did he delete it? I don't think he deleted it. Okay, well, I can probably get a screenshot of the tweet. But essentially, Elon wants Larry Kudlow in the he wants someone else in the administration, not the guy that Trump wants to elect. Let me pull this up real quick right here. And as a result, he went on Twitter and he made a poll of like, who do you think we should have? And so it's crazy because like Elon's literally using his following to ask the American people what you want. And I'm sure Trump's advisors are not really, that happy that that's actually playing out right now. So here is the tweet. If I can pull this up right here. So this was a report by Axios. And here's the tweet that Elon had. So this is what it is. Can't find it on his Twitter right now, but this is the tweet itself. So Elon tweeted, would be interesting to hear more people weigh in on this for real Donald Trump to consider feedback. My view is, for what it's worth, oh, this was a couple days ago, actually. That's why I couldn't find it. But my view is, for what it's worth, that BAKKT is a business as usual choice, whereas Howard Lutnick will actually enact change. Business as usual is driving America bankrupt, so we need to change one way or another. So you can see, Trump's doing a favor for Elon when it comes to self-driving and autonomous regulations. Elon's trying to kind of stick his nose into different policies and cabinet positions that Trump's potentially going after. Both of them are really working hand in fist to try to get things done. And both of them want different things out of this administration. And it seems like they are trying to get things done. We got some Robinhood coverage right here on CNBC. Let me pull this up real quick. And let's pull this up, and then we will get into the market close in just 5 minutes.
So Robinhood hitting a 3-year high today. Kate Rooney has more on that move. Plus Deirdre Bosa on why good news for Tesla is taking down Uber shares. And Pippa Stevens on the high-profile cabinet pick, pushing some of the energy names higher. Kate, quite a move in Robinhood here on this analyst call.
Yeah, Mike, up about 10% today. It's been continuing this post-election rally we've seen in Robinhood. That analyst upgrade, though, as you mentioned, appears to be the driver today. So you had Needham upgrading Robinhood to a buy, about 40% upside baked into that call today. Analyst over there writing Robinhood is positioned to be a major beneficiary, they say, of more positive regulation within the crypto space while emerging as a leader in its equity and options offering. They also point out that Robinhood has had to kind of play it safe on some of the product offerings to try to avoid enforcement actions from the SEC. But under a new SEC chair with President-elect Donald Trump, that could allow the brokerage firm to launch products a bit faster without fear of retribution. They were issued a Wells notice by Gary Gensler's SEC on crypto in particular. It has been reported.
By the way, they issued that Wells notice when I was in DC. Stock was at 18 at like 9:15. Wells notice comes out at 9:20. Stock drops to 16 that day. And that was a buy the dip. And then it came back to 18 like an hour later. So the Wells notice was so stupid, really had no impact on Robinhood. But it was just the SEC continuously trying to intimidate companies that were trying to innovate in crypto.
Also, that Dan Gallagher, who's Robinhood's chief legal officer, former SEC commissioner, is now leading the shortlist for Trump's SEC chair. Stock already up about 180% so far this year, Mike.
Yeah, Kate, in fact, the chart since its IPO is extraordinary at this point. We mentioned it's a 3-year high. Of course, it did trade much higher in that initial burst of enthusiasm about meme stocks and crypto. But all that you've laid out there really does underscore that it's basically a crypto proxy right now. As much as Robinhood talks about retirement assets and all the rest of it, that seems to be how it trades.
Yeah.
So that's what we got on Hood. Unfortunately, folks, the market makers are not going to let us get that $35 close. Look at what they're doing to our boy. Look at what they're doing to it. This is pure market making, right? They are not letting it get that $35 close. We got 2 minutes left. Maybe we get it. But these red candles is not retail saying, all right, I'm going to dump the last 2 minutes of the day. It is absolutely algorithmic stopping it from getting that 35 close. But a 34.50 close was my goal for today. And the fact that we even hit 35.60 was very bullish. And the fact that we broke down the wall at 35 was really bullish. So overall, not bad for Robinhood. We got the market close in about 2 minutes. Tesla up 5%. ARK Innovation up 3%. The Q's up 0.5%. S&P was up 1/3%. Again, S&P and the Q's both took it on the chin on Friday. Looks like they're coming back and dip buyers are stepping in. IWM is also up about 20 bips today, which is not bad. Oklo, Chris Wright, the energy director now, who is also on the board of directors of Oklo. Trump is nominating him. That's up 15% because of that appointment. So you're seeing a lot of these other plays get some momentum as we get into the close. Amazon's down about 0.5% on the day. The Mag 7, not the best day for them. You had Google that was up, Meta that was down, Microsoft up slightly, Apple up 1.28%. NVIDIA, we'll talk more about NVIDIA, but they have the heating issues with servers. That's why they're down 1.42%. Tesla had the best day out of all the Mag 7, up 6%. And then Amazon right here at 201, down about 0.5% on the day. And that's pretty much what we had throughout the entirety of the market. Amit, did you see the Kim Kardashian with Tesla Optimus video? Yes, I'll show that in a second. Kim Kardashian posted a Tesla Optimus video to 500 million followers today. I think Tesla sent it to her. So that is, just more and more. It's funny. We were talking about Optimus this morning, bro. If Elon announces anything with Optimus in 2025, I think that is going to be a really big deal for valuations to kind of take that into account because they just haven't as of now. And if that happens, I think that is definitely going to be very, very bullish going into 2025. We'll talk more about 2025 in a second as well. We have some new price target upgrades across the street, some familiar faces with some new targets. So we'll talk about that and go deeper from there. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Monday, November 18th. The stock market is now closed. Did we get a 35 close on Hood? Did we get it? Did we get it? Did we get it? Wow! We got it, baby. Right at the end, they gave it to us. All right. 35 on the dot. Not bad at all for a Hood. Congrats to everyone who bought that damn earnings dip all the way to 23. It was not easy to buy that dip because it was just like gut-wrenching, but it was the right thing to do at that time because we knew there was a mismatch between the analysts and the actual results. And looks like it is paying off so far, and it's not bad at all for Robinhood showing this momentum. $35, up 8.29% on the day. Palantir ends the day, their first red day in pretty much a month, like a real red day, down 6.87%, $61.25. It is crazy to say that Palantir at $61.25 experienced the red day, but Palantir at $61.25 experienced a red day. Walmart was down about 0.34% on the day. Square had a great day. Square right here, look at that, up 7.76% on the day. MicroStrategy up 13% on the day. DJT up 17%. Coinbase was up 6.4%. S&P 500 ended at 588. The Qs at 500. Tesla up 5.62%. 338. Not bad at all for Tesla. You had NVIDIA that was down about 1.32% on the day. We'll talk more about some of NVIDIA's issues in a second. All the semis were relatively flat or slightly green. AMD had a nice day, up 3%. SMCI was up 15%, rallied into the close. Intel was up about 2%. Broadcom was up 0.5%. ASML was about 1%. And then ARM was flat, down about 0.05% on the day. So there we go. That's what we got on the market. Hims also had a great day. I think Hims was up 20% today, something like that. Hims up, never mind, not 20%, 8%, but still $20. Not bad for Hims after falling 30% last week because of that Amazon news. TSM was up 0.77%. SoFi up 2.2%. Couldn't get that $14 close, but it does look like it's getting into that $14 world and kind of staying there. Bitcoin 91,615. Rocket Lab also up 2% of the day. Rocket Lab was up above 20 at one point, now at 19.29. So Rocket Lab not bad. Shopify right here down about 2.39%. Spotify down about 0.9%. Dell was up 3.35% on the day. So Dell getting some of that business from SMCI. Enphase up 5%. Not bad. SMCI took a little bit of a green candle. And then Kava also was down 3% here on the day after going up about 20% last week. Not bad. Robinhood, $35 close. We got that $35 close, which was important. Is Grab at $5? Did we get to Grab at 5? Let's see. Grab right here. Yeah, pretty much $4.99, up 5.5% of the day. It did hit $5, closed right at that $4.99 range, which is not bad. Again, Chris and I will be coming out with the podcast soon on Grab, and we'll go even deeper to kind of see what's going on with Grab. BitX also, I think it was an okay day for BitX. BitX right here was up 0.29%. And then Mara, unfortunately, down 14% of the day from that $700 million convertible note that they were raising. I think some of the other miners took it on the chin. Right here, down about 1.7%. And then you got CleanSpark as well, down about 4% on the day. Okay, so let's talk about some different price targets that we got across the street. So Mike Wilson, I know you guys know Mike Wilson. He was the guy who kind of got fired at Morgan Stanley for being super bearish in 2023, and his clients missed out on a lot. And then he was kind of continued to be bearish in 2024. And so they kind of like, they didn't fire him, but they gave him a new title. Well, he came out today and he said that he believes that the S&P 500 will get to 6,500 by the end of the year in 2025. So essentially an 11% raise. He's one of Morgan Stanley's strategists on what he thinks will be in 2025. Again, this is Mike Wilson. So question for everyone right here. Their bull case, by the way, is 7,500. Their base case is 6,500. Their bear case is 4,700. Do you think the S&P will return more than 6,500 by the end of the year? That is the question. 6,500, yes or no, by the end of the year. 11% isn't a lot, obviously, compared to 2023 to 2024, but 11%, if we're looking at historical returns, is pretty much average. Like the S&P gets 10 to 11% a year. But do we have the explosive growth in a lot of these tech names like NVIDIA, Tesla, et cetera, to propel the S&P to have more than 11% gains? I think that is the broader question. I actually think this is a pretty reasonable argument to say to get 6,500 because he's probably trying to be a little conservative here and not be uber bullish. But you do have other people coming out on the street that are saying, no, we're going a lot higher, and we're going a lot higher because we're going to get a ton of more momentum. Okay, so for the people saying no, do you think we get above 6,500 or below 6,500? For those that say for those that say Mike Wilson's wrong, do you think we get above 65 or below 65? For us to get to 6,000, I think we would have to have a major retracement. So something like going back down to 5,000 or 5,200. And then throughout 2025, we're kind of getting our way back to 6,000, but that would require a bit of a correction. If we don't have that correction, we just keep, staying kind of level headed. Maybe 6,500 is actually there. Wow, you guys are bearish. Below. Decent amount of you say below. Huh? Decent amount of people saying below by end of 2025. I think a lot of people are just so enthralled with what has happened in 2025. It's hard to see that being replicated. And that's fair. It's really hard to see that happening again in 2025. So that's what we got right now in the context of one of those price targets. And here's another one that I want to show. MicroStrategy announces proposed private offering of $1.75 billion of convertible senior notes. Okay, if that's true, then we knew that was happening. We knew that was coming out soon. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Saylor's going to buy another $2 billion of Bitcoin. Holy crap. That came just right now. Wow. Michael freaking Saylor. MicroStrategy announces proposed private offering of $1.75 billion of convertible senior notes. That essentially means they are going to raise, call it $2 billion, and they're just going to buy more Bitcoin. They're just going to buy more Bitcoin. That's incredible, dude. By the way, again, guys, he bought Bitcoin today. For those that missed it, as you can see right there, he bought 51,780 Bitcoin for $4.6 billion already. So they already diluted by $4.6 billion, spent it. 88,000 a coin. Talk about buying the top. I mean, dude, more and more and more money that they are raising to continue buying as much Bitcoin as they can. We didn't hear Tom Lee talk about Bitcoin this morning. Let's take a look at this. This is a 1-minute clip that Saylor tweeted. Let's just hear what Tom Lee had to say.
I think that's right. It does seem like Bitcoin is becoming more and more a hallmark of what this next administration is going to have. And it does solve some of the deficit concerns. If Bitcoin becomes a reserve asset, and it may solve some of the, what I'd consider inherent problems of the current financial system. Bitcoin remains a very secure blockchain. So I think there's still a lot of potential for Bitcoin.
So where were we last time we were, or at least a recent time I asked you, still triple digits by the end of the year? I think we were around 70 or under 70. We're much closer now. So I don't want to ask you if you're raising your price target on Bitcoin, but it looks like triple digits is certainly a possibility. What is it? It's November.
Yeah, I think comfortably over 100,000 makes sense before the end of this year. And Bitcoin is trading pretty closely to how it should post halving. So I think the next 12 months look pretty good for Bitcoin.
Look, even if you don't believe in crypto, you don't believe in Bitcoin, when you see what Saylor's doing, when you see the halving cycle timelines, when you see the momentum with the White House and the administration actually allowing more cryptocurrency deregulations, I think everyone's portfolio has to have some type of allocation, whether it's through Hood or Coinbase or MicroStrategy, whatever it is. This is just one of those things that it feels like it's happening, right? And there will be a cycle, and then it will stop happening at one point. Same thing with a lot of these AI names. Eventually, it might not be as strong as the momentum is right now. But when Trump wants to meet Brian Armstrong and have a real conversation about who to appoint, I mean, what's the number one question that's going to be happening in this meeting? Trump's going to say, who should be the new SEC chair? And Brian Armstrong's going to have a list of names. Trump's going to put them in his back pocket, and then they're going to make a decision. But the fact that this guy is getting to talk to Trump about who to make the SEC chair, that is obviously very, very bullish for crypto. Now, the big question right here by Al Money, but will Trump buy crypto reserves? I think that is the hay in the needle stack. If Trump actually sets up a Bitcoin reserve and they buy 1 million Bitcoin, you see Tom Lee alluding to it right there, that if they buy 1 million Bitcoin, what that does to the traditional financial system is it creates a reserve that if Bitcoin were to get, like if we're being super, out there, Bitcoin does get to millions of dollars a coin. Theoretically, the United States has this like lottery ticket around resolving some of the debt in the next 100 years. If Bitcoin is 10 million a coin or whatever, if we're being super hyperbolic. And maybe that is a way to resolve the debt. Maybe that is a way to leverage against our debt. Maybe that's a way to collateralize our debt. Maybe there's so many different things we can do with other types of financial instruments outside of the current ones that we have. And I know, asking for Bitcoin at these levels is crazy to say, but it was crazy. Like here's the thing. Here's where I got humbled. Back when Bitcoin was 15,000 and anyone would say Bitcoin's going to six figures, I laughed at their face. And when I mean laugh, I mean there's video evidence of me laughing at their face. You guys know from Finance Junkies, Carlos was like, it's going to 100,000. I'm like, the fuck you talking about, Carlos? Now, granted, Carlos, Palantir was 6, so he was being bearish on Palantir. I was being bearish on Bitcoin. But I was like, 100,000? What are you talking about? That's ridiculous. Well, look where we're at. So to say Bitcoin going to 1 million is ridiculous. The reason Bitcoin is up is because of the traditional financial system kind of failing to acquiesce around inflation and money printing. And if that's not stopping anytime soon, and it doesn't seem like Democrats or Republicans can stop the spending, I mean, maybe there's an argument that this thing is probably going a lot higher over our lifetimes. And if that's the case, as Matthias says right here, finite supply is a hell of a drug. There is only 21 million of these. Then, there is an argument that Bitcoin can continue getting more momentum. If Trump makes Bitcoin capital gains non-existent, why would you invest in any other soccer coin? Well, this is a good question. This is a good point. I forgot the headline on Friday was that Trump is thinking of proposing getting rid of taxes on crypto. I don't know if he's going to be successful with this, but he's thinking of getting rid of taxes on crypto capital gains, which would really ramp up the excitement when it comes into crypto. I mean, if people know they can buy and sell it without having to actually pay taxes, I don't know how legally he would be able to get that passed, because technically a crypto is still an asset, just like a stock, and you have to pay capital gains tax. But if he figures it out, Robinhood up 0.4% after hours, 35.14, then that would also be very, very bullish for the broader crypto ecosystem. So that's what we got going on right now in crypto. Okay, cool. So that's what we got going on with crypto. Let me get to a couple other headlines that I saw today, and then I want to look at another S&P target for 6,700 on the street. So we got a bunch more coming up. All right, so here's some bearishness. So again, no one can say Amit's show is filled with bullish euphoria. Here is some bearishness, and I'm curious what you guys think about if this is super bearish or not. Real quick, before the bearishness, let's just look at this real quick. Perplexity is now unveiling Perplexity Shopping. That is officially out right now. You can now shop on Perplexity. We've been talking about little startups kind of trying to hone in on Google's lunch. I'm going to turn the music off here, but this is what it looks like. And so now you can shop on Perplexity yourself. So as you can see right here, I want to build my own indoor library, help me find all I need to buy. And via AI, it automatically finds the best products and then potentially buys them for you, or you buy them yourself right through there. I think Google will do something like this pretty soon. Google already has something like this. It's not as integrated. But this to me is not like, oh my God, it's amazing. But this is one of those things where a lot of these competitors that are already getting hundreds of millions of queries a month, they're starting to venture out into different areas that the traditional search engines are currently in right now. And the end product of what this really looks like is, hey, buy me a headphone, make it less than $200, make sure it fits good on my ears, buy it, here's my credit card, I don't even want to look at it. And when you can ask that to Siri, I think that's when it gets really bullish. But as of now, you can't do that. So that's the end result, is getting rid of all this UI and just like doing it automatically via agents. Right now, we're not there yet, but eventually if we get there, I think that'll be pretty bullish. All right, so here is what we got to read in terms of some of the bearish news. So here we go. 20% of U.S. small businesses have seen sales drop over the last 3 months, the most since the 2020 pandemic. This is a worse reading than during the 2001 and 1991 recessions, according to the NFIB data. This is also the 29th consecutive month of declining sales, again, for small businesses. 66% of the businesses in America are small businesses, the longest streak since the 2008 financial crisis. At the same time, the small business uncertainty index spiked to 110 points, the highest level on record. Small businesses cite inflation and the labor market as their biggest issues, and this person is making the argument that U.S. small businesses are in a recession. Now, how bad is this for the broader market? I don't necessarily think this is the biggest deal. Small businesses at the end of the day are the backbone of the United States, but declining sales does not mean that these businesses are going out of business. In fact, the whole reason we cut rates by 75 bips so far is to give these guys some relief. Now, it takes some time for the small businesses to get the relief by lowering rates, but I do think that lowering rates over the next 12 months is going to start helping a lot of these small businesses. What this is a broader concern about is, does the consumer have enough money to shop at the local pizza shop? or to go to the local bagel shop, right? And if that's your small business that's seeing some sales drops, and by the way, a lot of this data is skewed, right? Because some businesses might be having a ton of sales as a small business. Some businesses might be seeing, a decrease of sales in certain sectors. For example, if you have a small furnishing store and you're selling couches and sofas, you're probably going to have your sales drop because no one's buying a house. But in other sectors, you might be seeing your sales increase. So I don't think this is necessarily super bearish. I think this is one data point to kind of look at, that not every part of the economy is doing great right now. And we kind of already know that. The question is, when does that make its way into earnings results? And if small business owners don't have enough money to pay their employees, we're going to see layoffs. And if they don't have enough money to pay for Amazon Web Services, for example, then we should see lower growth in AWS. So this is all going to be shown in the big companies when they show earnings. But as of now, as we talked about this morning, Q3 is just not showing any weakness in earnings growth. I mean, like, realistically, there's not a company out there that actually matters that had a crappy earnings. You could say you might not agree with the stock price movement after those earnings, but pretty much every company that matters has had a hell of an earnings. And if they missed on certain little metrics, it is what it is. But for the far majority of them, they have crushed and actually shown that their earnings are pretty strong. Target up 3% at the end of the day. Nike was down about 2.3% today. Again, Nvidia down about 1.29%. Carnival Cruise was up about 1% of the day. Apple, I don't know why Apple's up 1.34%, but the streets started buying Apple today for some reason. Apple got green. I don't think there was any headlines on it. The new M4 laptop MacBooks are out, but I don't know if that's the biggest headline. And then you got Nubank as well. That was down about 3% today as well. Hey, Amit, what do you think about next quarter's earnings? Well, Q4 earnings should be good, but Q4 earnings are kind of fake. Palantir down another 1/3% after hours. The reason Q4 earnings are kind of fake is because it's holiday season, right? So everyone's going to put up amazing numbers in Q4 because it's a holidays. Everyone's spending, everyone's shopping. So Q4 is one of those things where, like, the market really looks like Q1 guidance, even if you have a good Q4, because they know you should have a good Q4. If Q4 sucks, then that means we have an issue, which I don't think it's going to suck, just looking at consumer spending. But Q1 guidance is what every single person is going to look to. And Q1 guidance usually tends to suck, by the way. Like, most companies guide very conservatively in Q1 because they know they can't put up the same numbers they put up in Q4. But if they can guide reasonably going into Q1, which is going to be the biggest thing, dude, we are a couple months away from 2025. And in 2025, I think January, February, March are going to be the most important 3 months, because it's going to set the tone for, is this a bullish year or is this a bearish year? What do we got going on? And we're going to kind of have to see how that plays out. So speaking of S&P targets, BMO says 6,700, not 6,500 by the end of the year 2025. Here's their logic for why they think we're going to 6,700.
2025 target. You just put out your new outlook for 25, right? That's one of our headlines today. 6,700 is your number. I've got UBS with a 6,400. So you're going to start getting these in. Yours is, probably going to end up at towards the top end of where the ranges are, because that's how you like to do it.
Be disappointed otherwise.
Yeah, I know. I would too. I would too. Why 6,700? So, where are we at now? We're at 59. Let's just call it 59. So we're going to go to 67 in 25. Lay it out.
Well, I think the great financial crisis spawned this 25-year secular bull market that we've been talking about since then. Inside secular bulls, you can have cyclical bears and cyclical bulls. We're in year 3 of the new cyclical bull, which will be 2025. If you go back to the 1950, the average cyclical bull market for year 3 is 6%. We think we can get a little bit more. Why? Because we think earnings growth actually is understated.
You guys say I talk fast. I don't know if he's reading off something or what, but like, he's talking pretty damn fast.
We think the multiple actually can come down, but more importantly, we see the broadening out effect to be real. Be real, not only from a performance standpoint, but from a fundamental perspective. If you take a look at the other 490 stocks in the S&P 500, their earnings growth is expanding a lot faster than the top 10, number one. Number two, it's the second and fourth quintile of growth is where we're seeing the best growth. And I think from a sector perspective, we're seeing, obviously, we talk a lot about on this program, and Joe loves to talk about dispersion. Dispersion is amazing. This is where you want to be a stock picker, not because of technical dispersion, but because of fundamental dispersion. And I think this is where you really can make hay in the market.
Would your outlook have been different with a different political outcome to the election?
Probably not. And the reason is that we actually think that the train has left the station. Shannon talked about this is really, the markets are impacted by monetary policy. actually. And what we had in 2021 was a combination of fiscal and monetary policy, which was the gas. And then there was too much gas in 2022. But if you look at monetary policy and fiscal policy, that's what really drives markets. And the train has left the station with respect to monetary policy becoming more loose.
Yeah, I mean, the debate centers around just how fast the train is going to sort of pick up steam down the tracks, right? Is that the crux of the debate? Which, you know, obviously you have people pretty optimistic about what the new administration is going to mean for the economy, for earnings, for markets. I thought Josh put it well when he suggested the two scorecards that an incoming President Trump's going to care about most of all, the golf one and the stock market one.
Yeah, I disagree with that, by the way. He glommed onto the stock market one because it was working. If the stock market were down, he'd blame somebody else and say, that doesn't matter. So let's be clear. We've seen him do that with everything in his vision.
He cares about what the markets do. We know that.
Well, he cares about my.
So we'll go back to that in a bit. But again, his sort of fundamental analysis around that $6,700 price target has to do with earnings. And a lot of these analysts that are looking at these companies put up earnings growth, they can't really see them not living up to earnings. By the way, MicroStrategy right here, again, they just raised $1.75 billion for more Bitcoin in convertible notes, 385 after hours, up another 25 bips. They were up 13% on the day. If you can't see companies not putting up good numbers, you can't have a low S&P target. Like, because again, if the market is fundamentally driven on earnings, you know, you put a multiple on earnings per share to come up with a stock price. That's like for the majority of companies, that's kind of how the market ultimately thinks of it. If companies are putting up earnings, and by the way, a lot of companies got profitable this year. SoFi got profitable. Rocket Lab is very close to profitability. Hims got profitable. Robinhood got profitable. Palantir continued their profitability. You got all these smaller companies from 2 years ago that are now maturing into actual profitable enterprises. If they can keep putting up growth, it's hard to stay super bearish in 2025. Now, maybe we don't get a 25% year like we got this year, given where the S&P ends throughout the end of the year. But you definitely can't say we're going to get the worst year unless there is some type of macro-driven event that causes everything to go back down. And as of now, no one really knows what that event is or where that event is currently coming from. Shout out to Adam in the chat. Sailor is an absolute monster. Others will be joining soon. Adam, again, I had dinner with over the weekend. It was absolutely awesome. Adam, apparently, for my birthday, he got me a Tesla hoodie. And so it didn't come in the mail yet, but I'll be rocking a Tesla hoodie pretty soon, courtesy of Adam. So, Adam, thank you for that. Sailor absolutely is an absolute monster. Now, here's the thing that Adam says, that last part of his comment, which I think is very important. Others will be joining soon. Will they? Right? That's like, will they? Is Microsoft going to join? Is Apple going to join? Like, because if Michael Saylor single-handedly orange pills corporate America by getting them to believe that having Bitcoin on the balance sheet, Robinhood, by the way, 35.26 after hours, is the way for them to fix a lot of their financial woes. I mean, you have a lot of these tech CEOs that are probably going to be a little scared to do it. But I think if some small ones start doing it, for example, Shopify CEO Toby Luke is a super big crypto guy. They integrated crypto payments with Shopify a couple of years ago. If he says, yeah, we're putting, $100 million into iBit on the balance sheet, that would be the first domino to drop of like a real corporation saying, yeah, we're going to get Bitcoin. Now, Apple probably is not going to be able to do it because Tim Cook, I don't know if he's going to be able to tell shareholders they bought Bitcoin. Apple's kind of, the supposed to be straight and narrow, and they're not supposed to do that stuff. But Zucks, I think, could get away with it. I think Zucks could do it. Sundar probably is going to be hard to do it. Elon already has done it, right? With Tesla, maybe they add to it. They're probably not going to add, but they still have a ton of Bitcoin. They have about $1 billion worth of it. And then Satya Nadella, again, we saw Microsoft put a proposal to their shareholders of, hey, do you guys want us to buy Bitcoin? And they did an exact comparison between their stock and MicroStrategy and how they've increased revenues tenfold, but MicroStrategy has gone up way more than them because MicroStrategy is Bitcoin. You might see a lot more of these corporate executives say, hey, maybe it's time to get some Bitcoin. Kevin just put up a video about rumors that DJT and Elon may be buying BKKT. BKKT stock is money. Is this a stock, BKKT? So we already knew about the rumor. I thought it was a cryptocurrency. Oh no, it's a stock. Wow, it's up 162%. No one told me it was a stock. I thought it was like a coin. Holy crap, BAKKT Holdings. Wow. It started going green at like 3 p.m. when the news broke. So we talked about the news at the beginning of the show. Wow, it's down 2% right now after hours. Volume's at 4 million. Market cap's only 400 million. I wouldn't chase this. You guys know my philosophy. I never chase when things run up this crazily. But still, I mean, if DJT actually buys them, also they're only a $400 million company. DJT is a $7 billion company, so you would imagine they have the cash to buy them out. Again, that can be very strong for the at least value proposition to Truth Social, because right now there is no value proposition to Truth Social. However, if Trump's company is buying a crypto exchange, you cannot tell me the next 4 years are not going to be bullish for crypto. It's just like, if Trump's company is buying a crypto exchange, like, the dude has a vested interest in cryptocurrency by proxy of Truth Social. I mean, if that's not incentive, you could say that's conflict of interest. No, I'm not. No argument there. It definitely feels a little bit conflict of interest, but his sentiment around crypto will not be bad, and maybe that's why he's meeting with the Coinbase CEO right now. Let's get an update right there on that. We have a little bit of news on that Trump media segment. Let's pull that up, and then we'll keep going from there.
That's just breaking. Kate Rooney has that for us. Hi, Kate.
Hey, Mike. So we've got a couple of crypto headlines here. I'm going to start first with a report here from the Financial Times that Donald Trump's social media company is in advanced talks to buy BAKKT. That is a crypto trading venue owned by the Intercontinental Exchange. That's the New York Stock Exchange parent company. As Truth Social does look to expand beyond online conversations. Again, this is according to the FT. The media group here is owned by President-elect Donald Trump, and according to this report, is closing in on an all-share purchase of that crypto exchange. They're citing two people familiar with those talks. We've reached out to both companies, but you can see shares of Trump Media up more than 8%, and then BAKKT was up as much as 40%, but is now halted for volatility. And then separately, Wall Street Journal now reporting that President-elect Trump is meeting with the CEO of crypto exchange Coinbase. That is Brian Armstrong, the Journal here, citing people familiar with the matter. They are expected, according to this report, to discuss personal appointments to his second administration. Trump has been an avid backer of crypto. He's showed up at some of these crypto conferences and is, according to this report, talking to Brian Armstrong about the SEC commissioner. In particular, Armstrong has backed publicly Hester Pierce as a potential SEC commissioner, Mike. But a couple headlines to bring you there. We don't see the shares of Coinbase moving on that, but anyway.
There you go. Trump is being pro crypto. I mean, dude, buying an entire crypto exchange. Goodness gracious, bro. I didn't even know it was a public stock. I thought it was a crypto coin when people were tweeting about it. BKKT. All right. So if Trump's buying that in an all stock deal, that means they, probably are paying $200-300 million for it. And that'll be incorporated into Truth Social. That's probably going to launch Trump's new Liberty Financial token. I mean, like, all of this stuff happening seems to be an argument for more crypto momentum. Throughout the day, what else would we see? Google was up about 1.67%. So Google got a little bit of love today. Enphase again was up 4.84%. It's down about 0.16% after hours. Rock Lab again up about 2%. BitX was up about 0.16. Robinhood had one of the best days, up 8.29% currently on the day. After hours, 35.11. And then Meta, still not catching a break. Ever since Trump got elected, Meta's been one of those stocks that really hasn't been benefiting at all. Based on the TikTok ban not happening, and also based on the idea that Trump will kind of hamper down on political speech on Meta in terms of like censorship and stuff. So right now, Meta, I don't think those are real headwinds, but the market's perceiving them as headwinds. Chief accounting officer at AMD is resigning. Chief accounting officer at AMD is resigning. AMD stock on that news is down 1%. Chief accounting officer at AMD. Why are they resigning? Effective immediately. Darla Smith. Bro, AMD better not have any SMCI issues. I swear, if AMD has some cooking the books issues like SMCI, imagine this whole semis ecosystem is just a house of cards and NVIDIA's at the top and it's just waiting to fall and all these semi stocks are going to shit. That's not happening. I'm just joking. But why is she resigning? Does she want a little bit of a break or something? Darla Smith. Interesting. That is weird. corporate VP, chief accounting officer at AMD. She used to be at Motorola. You know, maybe she just wants to retire. You know, maybe that's all there is. That hopefully is the story here when we're thinking about this. What if Nvidia pulls an SMCI? I hope to God that doesn't happen. I don't think that'll happen. That'll be wild. That'd be wild. Could you guys imagine how fast Nvidia would collapse if they were seen to be cooking the books? I just don't think they had, like, Nvidia at their size, the amount of auditing they have to go through. It's very hard, I feel. I mean, that, like, you know, that would, number one, that would bring out all the people comparing Nvidia to Enron. There you go. That's your comparison, if that actually does happen. I don't think that'll happen, but in fact, I really don't think that'll happen. But if that does happen, that would be absolutely insane. AMD is recently having a lot of layoffs. I think maybe this is a part of the process. But the chief accounting officer, you don't lay off the chief accounting officer unless they sucked. But yeah, dude, Nvidia would collapse overnight if they were cooking the book. So I don't think that's happening, but SMCI is in a whole different world. Now, SMCI still hasn't filed the 10K. They said they're going to soon, which is why the stock rallied up 16% today, up another 1% after hours. But market still doesn't have the data yet. And until they get those reports, you know, SMCI is still going to be left as the company that has not fully filed their 10K. Crazy theory, the market knows about AMD cooking up the books, and that is why the stock is cheap. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that theory. It's just I wouldn't bet against Lisa Su in terms of cooking her books. Like, Lisa Su is just like a rock star. I doubt she would do that. Like, that's just a lot of trust in Lisa. The reason it's cheap, or the reason you could argue that the stock is only up like a couple percent this year, is because they don't grow. Like, AMD just doesn't. I mean, it grows, but it doesn't grow. You know, and it's hard to justify the multiples on something that really is not growing like Nvidia, and for something that has chips that are a generation behind Nvidia. So there's a lot of good aspects to AMD, and long-term they'll be fine. But compared to Nvidia with the hype and momentum around AI, you're not going to get people buying something that just doesn't show a ton of growth. Can we talk about the Nvidia Google quantum computing partnership? Yeah, let's talk about that. Speaking about Nvidia. So Nvidia, actually, Steve texted me this, and he was not upset about this, but he said that this is why IONQ or all these quantum computing names are stupid, because remember his argument I told you guys last week? His argument was that Google and all these other guys are just going to beat up all the small quantum computing names. And so that's why he didn't even think there's a moat for any of those small companies. IONQ is down 13% today. Naively, I'm saying because of this headline. Nvidia teams up with Google to design quantum AI processors. Google Quantum AI is using the hybrid quantum classical computing platform in the NVIDIA EOS supercomputer comprised of 1,24 H100 GPUs to perform the work and simulate the physics of quantum processors. One of the research scientists at Google Quantum AI said, the development of commercially useful quantum computers is only possible if we can scale up quantum hardware while keeping noise in check. Using NVIDIA's accelerated computing, we're exploring the noise implications of increasingly larger quantum chip designs. AI supercomputing will be helpful to power quantum computing success, an NVIDIA executive said. Google's use of the Q2Q platform demonstrates the central role GPU-accelerated simulations have in advancing quantum computing to help solve real-world problems. Okay, so why does this matter? Well, NVIDIA and Google working together on quantum computing simply shows a couple tailwinds. Number one, for Google, making more progress in the world of quantum computing. Number two, for NVIDIA, because if these H100s are the necessary byproduct of being able to even engage in quantum computing, then that just means cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching for NVIDIA. Number three, the reason IONQ is down today, and let's look at another name and see if they're down, is because maybe the market's thinking, all right, these guys really aren't going to compete with something like a Google if it's partnering with NVIDIA. So IONQ down 13.4%. QUBT, wow, down 22%. The market wasn't kidding around. Look at that. The market really thought the Google NVIDIA headline around quantum computing was a reason to sell off these small cap quantum computing names. That's incredible. You know, that it is funny. This is what Steve said this on the phone with me on Thursday. I told you guys, Steve was like, he doesn't think these companies can survive. Now, these companies still probably have a long runway to go in terms of making progress, but that's crazy that the Google NVIDIA headline took both of these names down more than 15% today. IONQ down 13%, quantum computing, QUBT down 23%. I guess they're incredibly volatile when it comes to that. Also, Google's using CUDA, the software stack of NVIDIA to design the processing power for these quantum computers. So that's also really exciting. You're seeing a lot of the software element of NVIDIA start to get another use case, in this case in quantum computing as well. Now, IONQ was up a lot. That's fair. It was up 200% in the past 4 months. So technically probably was overbought and needed a little bit of a pullback. But still, markets definitely react to that. NVIDIA did not move today, correct? You know, that quantum computing news was not enough to move NVIDIA. At least not today. Okay, cool. So that's what we had there. Let me pull up a couple. So let's finish that clip on the S&P, and then we will keep going from there and see what else we got going on. So again, 6,700 by BMO for the S&P 2025.
Now, take a look at Booz Allen Hamilton. Stock was on a meteorite, just flying. Look what's done over the last few days, because they're going to go after government contractors. So they're not positioned. So you really got to pick and choose ones that aren't involved in the orbit that they have. Now, you can find some healthcare companies do that. You can find some munition companies in defense that do that. But you have to stay away from those areas to have surety in order to meet your target.
15% sound doable, right? I mean, you've had a lot of calls that say after 20 plus and 20 plus % for the S&P that now you've got the prospects of lower returns. That 15% sounds pretty darn good.
15% sounds...
Is that doable?
15% sounds good. To get to 15%, I think we need that the tariffs are not going to be as extreme as expressed during the campaign season. That's one of the things that I have concern in. I somewhat disagree, because I do think that the opportunity with President Trump's election versus if Vice President Harris had been elected surrounds the regulatory environment. And I think that regulatory environment feeds directly into your thesis that the market broadens out.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. However, I don't like giving politicians any credit, number one. Number two, on the regulatory front and on the sector front, I think we can get to 6,700 with different sectors and different places relative to where we are now. Our sector stuff in our positioning does reflect with respect to President Trump winning. However, I still think the overall market would have been positive with respect to what's happening, just in terms of, I think we would have had different parts of it with Harris victory.
Well, I mean, your strategy is to own the winners, like tech, right, for growth, and be contrarian.
Such an amazing strategy. Own the winners. That's going to be my strategy from now, guys. I'm going to own the winners. That's it.
Financials for value.
I don't even know if that's contrarian anymore.
Listen. So we said we use David Byrne from the Talking Heads, same as it ever was. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And guess what? Technology's working. Our theme for technology has been own the big stuff for those that are your new consumer staples. Move down into the second layer of tech for winners. Financials, we believe, based on our conversations with institutional investors around the world, are still barely market weight. They need to get more. They have not distributed in terms of where they are. They're very concentrated in a few names. They've been slow to get into the regional banks, and they certainly are not into the small little banks. So I think there's a really great theme there. Also on consumer discretionary, our work shows you absolutely positively have to have a barbell here. So on one side, you got Amazon and Tesla, but on the other side, you got an amazing amount of companies in consumer discretionary that are showing recovering earnings and very attractive valuations. That's where you want to be in consumer discretionary.
Look, 6,700 require the AI trade stay intact.
Well, yes, but at the end of but AI is beginning to distribute across all sectors, and we know that it's not just about NVIDIA; it's about all these other names. Like Oracle could be one of the biggest names.
A lot of those names are struggling right now. It seems as though NVIDIA
right now. But
that's
listen,
a moment in time.
But listen, I'm an investor. I don't really care about today. I care about the end of next year, and I think stocks will be significantly higher.
You see, much more important.
I think the AI trade cannot go away if we want to get 6,700 or 7,000 on the S&P. In fact, the AI trade has to get bigger, bro. Like NVIDIA has to come up with something better than Blackwell. OpenAI has to raise at like a $300 billion valuation. Like we have to keep this thing going, I think, to get the types of returns that people are looking for. Because from a justifiable basis, the S&P trading at where it's at right now, the Q's trading at where it's at, we're putting a pretty damn healthy, or you could argue not healthy, but a pretty damn aggressive premium on earnings growth based on the expectation that earnings growth will not go away. And if OpenAI doesn't come out with GPT-7. You know, if like GPT-5, and by the way, OpenAI is having some problem. I don't know if you guys have been reading in the kind of AI models area, but like they don't have enough data to train on. All of them are struggling to find more data to train on because so much of the data that the world has is being used. So like we need the next OpenAI model. We need the next innovation by Palantir outside of AIP. We need Google to come up with new stuff. Like we need to keep this train going, because if it doesn't, I feel like a lot of people are just going to be wondering what was all the CapEx spent on, where is all the ROI coming from? And so I would imagine every company has it in their best interest to make this AI trade not go away, which means they're going to invest more in AI. They're going to come out with more AI products. Amazon, if you go on your Amazon app right now, there's all these different AI recommendations to buy more products. They're trying to see like how can they really incorporate large language models via search inside Amazon itself. I think all of these companies are trying to figure this stuff out. And we needed to, because 2025 cannot be 5% growth on Microsoft Cloud. Like that's just not going to work. That is not going to work to get this thing to keep going higher. Palantir, they're going to have to keep showing more AI momentum in the context of reaccelerating commercial growth. And if they do that, you know, more and more people will believe that AI actually has use cases. Here's what Kim Kardashian tweeted today. Speaking of AI, here's a video with Optimus.
Okay. Hi. Can you do this? I love you. You know how to do that? Okay. What should we do? Go running. Let's go for a run. Do you know how to do? Oh, you are Hawaiian. Okay.
All right. So all I'm saying is if Optimus gets close to coming out in 2025 in a realistic way, even though that looked very boring and there was nothing really exciting there, but if we actually get some momentum in Optimus, then I think that's another thing that's going to create a lot of potential momentum in 2025. I mean, if 2025 is the year of humanoid robotics, that is the next thing in AI that still hasn't, I think, been hyped up yet, which is humanoids, but we got to see real progress. BAKKT, by the way, is up 10% after hours off the idea that Trump's going to be buying them. So it looks like Street's getting excited about that. If we get some more humanoid robotics updates in 2025, maybe that's one of the things that could increase the overall aggregate earnings trade. But we got to see real numbers from Tesla and Optimus, and that stuff can't just be in story mode anymore. A lot of investors don't care about FSD. They're only interested in Optimus. Yeah, I agree. And Tesla's got to give them something to really be excited for. And it can't be a guy in the back of the room controlling the robot. Like we got to have some real stuff. Wow, BAKKT is up 17% after hours. Again, this is the cryptocurrency exchange that is going to be bought by Donald Trump's Truth Social. DJT after hours is down 3%. BAKKT is up 15% after being up 162% last week. This surge of 15% after hours, that means that the rumors are probably true and that they actually are getting bought out. And that's why the stock is going higher right here. Robinhood 35.09 after hours, Coinbase 323.75 after hours right now. Square's running after hours as well. Yes, Square had a great day. Shout out to Jason. On Tuesday, he said he thinks Square's up next. Square's up 1.29%. Now, he did say, he texted me today, he said, if we can't get back to 62.10 on Palantir, then Palantir's going back down. So 62.10 from a technical perspective is what he thinks we need to reclaim tomorrow for the uptrend to still be in effect. If not, he thinks we're going down lower. So 62.10 is currently the levels that he wants to see us get to. Symbiotic is up right now, 26% after hours. Did they have earnings today? These guys, I remember these guys from a while ago. Yeah, they have earnings today. Okay, so SYM, they beat revenue by $576 million versus $420. They missed on EPS. Beat on revenue, missed on EPS. Symbiotic stock is currently up on the strong beat on revenues. Revenues are up 47% year over year as well, which is important for them. Symbiotic Inc. What does this company do again? I forgot. I feel like it's robotics. Yes, I was kind of right. It's kind of robotics. Not really, but no, kind of. Warehouse logistics. Warehouse automation. Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, this is definitely robotics. Automation in the warehouse is imperative to supply chain success. We built an exceptional technology platform for our customers to excited to implement and transform their distribution operations. I imagine they're talking a lot about AI on their earnings call, but they're up 47% year over year in revenue. That's amazing. And that's just them implementing a platform inside of warehouses to be the backbone of commerce. Yeah, look at that AI-powered software that's in one of their offerings. When you actually have robots, like real physical robots, working and doing stuff that workers would do inside of these warehouses, I can't imagine what that would be like for Tesla. I really can't imagine how the street would react. I think that's going to be so damn amazing. But that progress has to happen. And right now, it just hasn't happened yet. 62 by tomorrow. Jason says we need 62 by tomorrow or else Palantir's headed lower. So today for Palantir was either a bear trap or a bull trap. And, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, it's a bull trap because you recovered throughout the day. And now, you know, the bulls are getting excited. They're buying the dip and then it's going to break out. Maybe that does happen to the downside. Or that 58.85 was like a bear trap where bears thought, all right, it's finally breaking down. And then the bulls came in and they said, no, we're buying the dip. So we will have to see over the next few weeks kind of where Palantir goes from here and how it plays out. Symbiotic up 28% after hours. Pretty incredible. $17 billion company, not a small company, but they're up 28%. Palantir up a little bit after hours, 61.33, up 0.11% currently right now. Or we go straight to 70. Yes, that is also possible. What do you think about Dell? I don't love Dell because their operating margins are like worse than Amazon's, but they're getting a ton of business from SMCI. So I understand why Dell is rallying right now. Up 3% today, up another 0.5% after hours. How much business are they going to get from SMCI? We don't know. There was that report this morning we looked at that XAI has $6 billion worth of server demand that they're giving to Dell over SMCI because of these accounting issues. So, I mean, if Dell's getting that much more business from XAI alone, then that's super bullish. But I think if you believe in NVIDIA, you got to believe in Dell and SMCI to an extent because you believe in the server market for GPUs. Even though that's a more commoditized market, that is a market that should be seeing a ton of demand as Blackwell ramps up. I mean, someone's got to serve those GPUs, and it's either Dell, HP, or SMCI. And Dell, you know, hopefully would be in a decent spot for that. What was I looking at right here? Oh, iRobot. Yeah, iRobot was up today as well. Again, Amazon was supposed to buy these guys. That didn't end up happening because of Lena Khan, but these guys were up 13%. I don't know why they were up 13% today. I don't know if there was any big update on them. IRBT. Let's see. IRBT. iRobot. No, looks like people are just saying it's technicals. Or people are thinking that Amazon's going to try to buy them again when Lena Khan's out. Maybe that's the argument. Potentially. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, that might be the argument. That might be the argument. Unless, you know, unless the administration is still pretty rigid on that. Affirm was up today. Yeah, Affirm had a great day, bro. Affirm, incredible day. Affirm, buy now, pay later. 10.53%. They announced that they crossed 20 million users. They're not profitable yet, but I think they're sandbagging on profitability. I think they're going to get there sooner than what the street thinks. And lower rates are good for Affirm. They can give out more loans. Same thing is good for SoFi. That's why, like, if Affirm can go up 10%, SoFi can get to $20, bro. SoFi has some of the best underwriting. They have the least amount of delinquencies. They can definitely continue to grow at that 25 to 30% range. SoFi should continue to see a ton of momentum over the next year. When Tesla was around 400 a few years ago, the PE was what? Was it 650? It was 1110, if I'm not wrong. The PE of Tesla when it was 400 in 2021 was 1100. So, you know, Palantir at 300 is kind of child's play compared to Tesla. I think we all forget, dude, as much as everyone's crying about Palantir's valuation, like Tesla in 2021 got to $1 trillion. Now it's at $1 trillion again, but Tesla in 2021 was a different Tesla. The fact that Tesla got that crazy and then it came back down, could that happen to Palantir? Maybe, but Palantir didn't get to $1 trillion. You know, now granted, Palantir is still trading at a crazy price to sales like Tesla was as well. Not as crazy of a PE. But I think the market's going to have to determine what is fair value for Palantir. They are really going to have to try to figure it out. That was a different bubble. Rivian was trading high. That is fair. Rivian was like $150, bro. Lucid was trading high. Yeah, that's true. 2021 was different. That is also fair. SoFi actually makes money. Yeah, I mean, look, Affirm's not profitable yet. If SoFi can make money, I don't see any world where SoFi doesn't get the tailwind of all these interest rates coming down. How hard will a 10% interest rate cap on credit cards hit SoFi? Okay, so this is interesting. So this is one of the administration's policies that Bernie Sanders is actually excited with, which is capping credit card interest rates at 10%. I have not done a lot of research on this. I'm really curious if people think this is good or bad in terms of a policy. I don't think I've done enough research on it. My gut reaction though is that credit cards typically ask for 20%, if not more than 20%, for revolving balances for people that don't pay back the card every month. If they cap that at 10%, that's bad for credit cards. Like that's not good for credit card companies because they're making less net interest income from that, or not net interest income, but income from the percentage yield from the customers on their balance that they have to deploy off not paying your credit card debt. So if you cap that at 10%, that's going to be great for the consumer. Is that great for SoFi or Robinhood or Affirm or Capital One? I don't think so. Like that's not good. So Harmsy says more than 10% is kind of predatory. Well, that's what I think the Trump administration and Bernie Sanders both agree, that it's predatory. And that's why they're working together to go after that. I am curious how many of the credit card lobbyists are going to try to stop that from happening. But currently right now, it's upwards of 25%. Some people saying 27. Yeah, some people are paying a lot more. So it will save a lot of people money if they decrease that to 10% at capped. But Hood's card is at like 22%. Yeah, but it won't be good for the credit card companies. At least not right now. June says it's good. Young people get in trouble with credit cards and never come back for it. Yeah, there is definitely a hell of an argument for why you want to do that. I just think from a business perspective, objectively, I don't think that's good for SoFi or Hood or Capital One. But granted, I still think it's a little bit of a, we got to go deeper on how these credit cards actually make money. Obviously, there's the interest payments, there's the interchange fees. How much of that gets hit when you decrease from 20% to 10%? I would imagine a lot. And so I don't think that's good for the credit card companies, but it's obviously a lot better for the consumers at the end of the day. Banks would have to increase fees. Yeah, the banks are going to make the money somehow. They're not going to let credit cards. If a bank's collecting 25% off someone right now, they're not going to let that go to 10% without finding a way to make that money back. So I feel like there's a way they're going to figure this out. But eventually we're going to have to see if Trump actually passes this policy. For those asking if this is a new camera, this is the same camera. It's just zoomed in. This is the same camera. It's just zoomed in because we kind of reorganized the studio here. We're going to change this background going into 2025. Everything is going to change. We're going to put up a bunch of different stuff. The bricks are going to be here because the bricks, you can't take the bricks out, because they're real bricks. But everything else will change. But yeah, the camera's the same. It's just zoomed in on my face. Someone said, have I been to the UK before? I've not been to the UK, but next year we're doing a bunch of meetups. The UK is going to be on that list probably in the summertime. Doug says, if credit card interest rates are kept at 10%, then credit cards will only be something for the uber wealthy, and then they'll just force the banks to issue credit cards to everyone, and then that. So that's a good point. The derivative effects, which are the byproduct of capping interest rates at these levels, could that mean that companies just only give credit cards to people that can afford, that they know are going to pay them back if they're not going to make any money off the yield of people that have revolving balances, which is kind of the hope of a credit card, right? The hope of a credit card is that, yeah, you're going to get a limit, and yeah, you might end up being stuck in that situation for a bit, but at least you have access to some type of credit, some capital to be able to do something, and then eventually you can get out of it. That might be one of the resounding negative impacts of doing something like that as well. Did you give up on standing up? Yeah, dude. Like, I'm not standing, dude. Like, I've stood up today, like doing work, but last night, standing up for 90 minutes, no one in the chat, I blame you guys. No one in the chat was like, hey, dude, you might not want to stand up for 90 minutes. That's going to hurt in the morning. But yeah, that hurt. It hurt a lot. And it's different from like running. Like, I can run on the treadmill for 90 minutes. That's fine. Usually I run for like 45 to 50 minutes, but like I run for a long amount. It's not, I think it's just standing in one position is like not good for your back. Like, that's just not a good idea. And so, yeah, we're not doing that anymore, bro. That hurt. Like I'm still feeling the pain, bro. Like, that hurt. And no one in the chat wanted to say anything. Everyone just wanted to see me go through that pain and live with it. But it definitely hurt. Amit lacks grit. Okay, maybe I lack a little bit of grit. Maybe that's also happening. But maybe I got to get a little bit more in shape to fully stand up for 90 minutes. But yeah, dude, that hurt. That was not fun. That was not indeed fun. Amit doesn't have legs. He's an AI robot from Palantir sent from the future to get us to buy their stocks. Dude, the amount of people on Twitter that are like, there are people tagging me like, look at this paid pumper from Palantir. I'm just like, oh my God, dude, you guys, they just don't get it. They haven't been part of the community. They don't get it. They're looking at the valuation. You got people that have never read a single piece of news on Palantir ever before. So they come across my account. They look at the valuation. They're like, why is this guy talking about Palantir? Look at the valuation. They don't get it. They don't get, we've been in this story for a very, very long time. And it is what it is. And as a result, you know, it's been fun enjoying the ride on Palantir. It's also fun kind of seeing the entire world freak out. I showed you this meme last night. I got to show you this guy's meme again. But it's fun seeing the entire world freak out on Twitter about Palantir. Like, no one gets how this valuation is happening. And all of us are just sitting like this, and it's actually hilarious. Like, it's really, really hilarious, dude. This is how everyone's sitting. Everyone's sitting in this way. All the shareholders. I saw this on Reddit, and I couldn't start like, this is everybody. All the Palantir shareholders just holding all their paper gains, and we're just staring at all these people complaining about how overvalued these Amit's a pumper, blah, blah, blah. They're saying all this crazy shit, not knowing they haven't been through what we've been through for 3 years to get to this point. Not saying it's cheap, not saying it's not expensive, but the shit Palantir has gone through and the community has gone through for 3 years. And now we're at this point where everyone is upset at us. Before, no one gave a shit about us. No one cared about us. They just thought it was the crazy company with a crazy CEO. Now everyone's like, oh, it's the biggest bubble in the world. And all of us are just sitting like, well, I guess this is what's happening. June says you were holding your hip halfway through. All right, so when I was holding my hip halfway through, June, you didn't think of saying, hey, Amit, maybe take a seat. Maybe holding your hip is like going to hurt you in the morning. No one said that. Everyone just allowed me to stand up with no issue. Acting like that wouldn't hurt in the morning. Bro, it hurt in the morning. It hurt in the morning. I woke up and I was like, damn, that was not a good idea. It's funny because last night I ended the show like, this is great. I feel awesome after 90. Dude, I went on the bed after 10 minutes. I was like, back's kind of hurting, bro. What the fuck is going on? My back hasn't hurt in a while. And I'm like, oh, that's why. That's why it's happening. Anyway, that's what we got going on right here. I think we're ending it out. Bitcoin 91,000, MicroStrategy down about 1%, Marathon up a little bit after hours. We got the 35 close on a hoodie, which I'm so happy for. Robinhood got that $35 close. That is exceptional. Looking like it can maintain its momentum. 35.09 after hours again. Bullish upgrades today with price targets. Obviously, Trump meeting with Coinbase CEO. That's bullish for Hood. And then Bitcoin at 91,000. That is also very good. MicroStrategy up 13%. Palantir on the day was down about 7%, down a little bit more after hours. You got Tesla had a great day. Tesla right here up 5.6%. Up another 30 bips after hours, up about 0.29%. And then you got BAKKT. That's up 21% because Truth Social is know buying them out. And that's why that stock is up right now. Amit, do we think strong NVIDIA numbers send Palantir to 70? You know, I wouldn't doubt strong NVIDIA numbers could have derivative effects on companies like Palantir. Qs, by the way, ended the day green at 500, and the S&P 500 ended the day 588.15, up about 0.5%. The problem is Palantir is already up so much. So even if NVIDIA crushes, you know, does the market have the appetite to give Palantir some more love? I think the market is getting a little tired of buying Palantir. There is such a thing as buyer fatigue, and we saw that with NVIDIA at 125. That's when it came back down to 102 after the Q2 earnings. But NVIDIA would have to really crush, bro. Like, they cannot put up 32, 33 billion. They've got to put 34, 34.5. They got a guide for 36 to 37. And that will tell the street, okay, you know, AI is really not stopping. Jensen wasn't crazy when he was talking about Blackwell demand. And that should be a tailwind for every AI company along with Palantir. So should be good for them if they can actually show really, really strong earnings going into Q3. All right, that's it. Buyer fatigue, bro. It went up 11% Friday. That's fair. It did go down today, though, almost 11% at one point. But you guys see that meme with David Goggins where like Palantir buyers and then David Goggins keeps running? It's a funny one. It's like you can't stop them. Let me see if I can find this meme. But there's this meme about David Goggins running, and everyone's just like, this is what Palantir is. Like, he just keeps running. I'll try to show that tomorrow, and I'll try to pull it up. But The buyers definitely still want more Palantir. Question's just going to be, what price are they willing to pay? And then finally, the last news of the day, guys, MicroStrategy, for those that are just joining, raised another $1.75 billion for buying Bitcoin. Michael Saylor bought 70,000 Bitcoin over the past 2 weeks. Now he just raised about $2 billion to buy more. Saylor is not stopping. Not stopping at all. What was the volume on Palantir today as well? What was the volume? Palantir volume. Wow, 136 million shares. Holy crap, dude. The amount of people that care about this company. This is new to me, dude. Like, this is freaking 2 years ago. We were sitting in this room, no studio, no TV. The bricks weren't there. I had to install them hand by hand myself. But before the bricks were there, it was like a blue wall. And then I tore down the blue wall. And then, I handed down the bricks. And if you watch those older videos from 2021, just talking about Palantir. Palantir. Now the whole world is like, Palantir is a bubble. It's like just so crazy. The extremes from being at $6 to 60. And like, I can't imagine how Karp and the employees must feel seeing this happen. It's wild. But nonetheless, there were buyers today, even on that dip down to $58. Brick by brick, baby. Brick by brick. SMCI is moving. Is it actually moving after hours? SMCI. Oh, wow. It's up 13%. Looks like SMCI is finally filing some of their forms right here. Look at that. Up 14% on SMCI. Look at that. Whoa. It hit $26 at one point. Okay, let me see. Just make sure if that's the reason they're up right now. Likely filed their forms. Well, they did say they would file it today, right? So, I mean, it's probably filed. Yeah, they filed it. Yeah, they're good. Super Microcomputer announces BDO USA as new independent auditor. Who the heck is BDO USA? Who is BDO USA? What is this random ass auditor that they found? How much did they pay BDO USA to audit them? BDO USA. Is this a really big auditing firm? Dude, they're in New Jersey. They're like close to where I am. Look at this, the accounting firm in New Jersey. They're near Rutgers. BDO. This is definitely not KPMG or freaking Accenture or Deloitte. BDO USA. Their website's not even loading, but all right. So they got an auditor. BDO, are they big? Are they a big one? Okay, if they're a big one, then Temu auditor. Okay, if they're a big one, then maybe this is good. I've never heard of them before, but it seems like you guys are saying they might be big. BDO is a member firm of BDO International, one of the world's top 5 accounting firms, network with over 115,000 professionals. All right, well, SMCI got someone good. It's not the typical Ernst & Youngs or KPMGs, but it looks like they got someone to audit them, and the street's willing to give them some love, knowing that they are being audited correctly. BDO, interesting. I've never heard of these guys, but I guess the street likes that it's BDO, so they got somebody. All right, cool. That's it for me. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Wednesday is going to be the big day for earnings on NVIDIA. Very, very important day. Tomorrow we have some macro data coming out in the morning. We'll keep going with the market open tomorrow and on the market close. But Wednesday is the big, big day. NVIDIA, that's going to be important. Jose will be on tomorrow, and he'll be on for the market open. Also, I told you guys I was going to get some more contributors onto the show. I had a meeting with one of the girls that I'm looking to get on the show pretty soon, and probably first week of December she'll be on. And again, the segment with her is going to be AI and tech. So essentially, she's deep in the AI space, deep in the tech space. She's going to come on once a week for about 8 to 9 minutes, and we're just going to talk tech, AI, all the stuff going on in that world. And so hopefully that'll be a really good segment every single week, and hopefully it'll be fun. All right, awesome stuff. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. I'll be back tomorrow on the market open. Bye, everyone. Good night.